Hi, sinners.
Hey, nice shirt.
Whoa, who said that? I think this place is haunted or something. Anyway, I have new merch. This is it. It says Hello Sinners with a cute devil/cherub hybrid and my trademark fan, of course. I even released a second shirt that also says Hello Sinners, but this one's in black. I even have a matching tote bag that says Sinners Make the World Go Round. Because you do. I did my best to make sure these designs captured me and my channel, but are also still wearable and cute, and I'm so proud of how they turned out. So if you want to sin and look good while doing so, go to hellosinners.com and check out the new merch. That's hellosinners.com. Should be the first link in the description. Right there. Go check it out. Thanks. Love you. Mwah. Alrighty. Well, hello, sinners. Where am I? Now, in case you couldn't tell, I moved, baby. I'm finally all settled in, but I'm not really sure how I want to decorate the new place or set up my filming spot. So if the next few videos look a little funky, a little interesting, that is why. Anyway, I thought dressing like I'm about to storm the Capitol was only appropriate because we'll be talking about the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Yeah, you can say I do sport. I know how to throw a ball or two.
That's what she said.
A few weeks ago, over 10,000 athletes from 184 nations gathered in the City of Light for the 30th Modern Summer Games. As the world watched nail-biting sporting events for a fortnight, little did they know the chaos that would ensue. From forcing competitors to swim in literal to allowing a convicted predator to represent his country, the quadrennial tradition was certainly not all fun and games this time around. And today, we'll be going through all the major controversies from this year's Olympics. To me, it seemed like the drama that unfolded outside the games got more press than the actual games. I could be wrong though. If you couldn't tell, I'm not someone who really follows sports. I know, shocking. Don't let my sweatbands fool you, cause I've actually never sweated in these. I guess that makes me a fraud. Anyway, sports. Some would say that the 2024 Olympics started with a bang, while others would argue that it was a drag, because the opening ceremony featured drag queens. I'm sure that went over well. Obviously, there was the classic torch lighting and the famous Parade of Nations, as well as several musical guests, including Celine friggin' Dion, who put on one of the greatest performances atop the Eiffel Tower, even after being told she would never be able to sing again. She's just an absolute legend. We really don't talk about Celine Dion enough. Sorry, what was I saying? What really caught the world's attention was French singer and actor Philippe Catherines' performance of his song New, dressed as a semi-nude Dionysus. And if you don't know, Dionysus is the Greek god of winemaking, orchards and fruit, vegetation, fertility, festivity, insanity, ritual madness, religious ecstasy, and theater. Damn, rest in peace, Dionysus. You would have loved Brat. Anyway, Philippe Catherine was sitting on a very long dinner table as the centerpiece, flanked by backup dancers, some of whom were queer artists and, you guessed it, drag queens, including Drag Race alumna Nikki Doll. Given all the vitriol directed at the LGBTQ+ community over the past few years, the presence of queer people alone was bound to set the religious right off. But what really drove them over the edge was how the beginning of Catherine's performance resembled Leonardo da Vinci's depiction of the Last Supper, and many conservatives took it as a mockery of Christianity. In this scene from the Olympic ceremony, the famous painting of the Last Supper is recreated, but Jesus is replaced with an obese woman while queer and trans figures, including a child, depict her apostles. Oh brother. God bless, am I right? Meanwhile, others claim that it was actually supposed to be a replica of the Feast of Dionysus, which to me makes more sense considering how Felipe is dressed as the Greek god himself. But Christians know this isn't a live photo, right? Like, Jesus didn't set up a timer on his stone tablet and tell his friends to act candid for the camera. Da Vinci painted this 1,000 years after the actual Last Supper happened, and it's been parodied plenty of times since with Disney princesses, Star Wars characters, characters, superheroes, etc., etc. But no one's accusing Spider-Man or Luke Skywalker of blasphemy. As expected though, this caused outrage all over the media, and numerous right-wing talking heads called for a boycott of the Olympics. Yeah, good luck with that. Andrew Tate, for example, gathered a few minions from his pseudo-alpha posse to protest outside the French embassy in Bucharest, Romania.
And to sit here and let France mock the country, mock your religion, make fun of every single thing you feel holy. This is the Last Supper. This is everything holy about Christianity, and we say absolutely nothing about it and say, oh, you cannot even complain. What are we doing wrong by saying that this is disgusting? This is not art.
My question is, do they seriously have nothing better to do? Don't the Tate brothers have cam girls to exploit? Allegedly? In Minecraft?
All of this is done on purpose. They're telling you exactly what's going to happen. They're coming for your kids. They're coming for all your institutions.
And if Andrew cares about kids so much, why doesn't he call out his brother for supposedly sleeping with the 17-year-old?
And the true abundance mindset of you can have the pick of the crop. You can have the world's most attractive women. I mean, one of my main chicks has 200,000 Instagram followers, and I took her virginity when she was 17.
I digress, though. This all led to the question that always pops up in these sort of conversations. Why is it okay to make fun of Christianity and not any other religion? And I'll tell you why. 'Cause it's funny. I'm kidding. Jeez, tough crowd. But really, it's because a lot of people see it as punching up. Christianity is practiced by 2.4 billion people, about 30% of the global population. It is the most dominant religion in the world, especially in the West. Also, at least in the US, Christianity infiltrates so many parts of our society. For sake, our motto is literally "In God We Trust." I can only speak from my experience as an American, but there's a specific group of Christians on the right who are trying to turn the US into a Christian nationalist country, and they've been gaining a lot of steam in politics and society at large since a certain someone was elected in 2016. And now more than ever, they are weaponizing the Bible to further oppress marginalized groups. Just look at how Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022, or the amount of anti-LGBTQ+ bills that have passed in recent years. And if that's not enough, may I suggest taking a quick peek at Project 2025? That'll get your blood pressure rising. With all that in mind, it makes sense why Christianity leaves a bad taste in some people's mouths, hence why they don't have a problem making fun of it. But going back to the opening ceremony, the gag is that they weren't even trying to mimic the Last Supper. This wasn't even the first time drag queens have performed at the Olympics. There was a whole tribute to Priscilla, Queen of the Desert at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, Australia, featuring 46 drag queens. According to creative director Thomas Jolly, his goal for this performance was to promote diversity and inclusion. Our subject was not to be subversive. We never wanted to be subversive. We wanted to talk about diversity. Diversity means being together. We wanted to include everyone, as simple as that. In France, we have freedom of creation, artistic freedom. We are lucky in France to live in a free country. I didn't have any specific messages that I wanted to deliver. In France, we are a republic. We have the right to love whom we want. We have the right not to be worshipers. We have a lot of rights in France, and this is what I wanted to convey. And this statement was released after weeks of hate messages and death threats. A couple days later, a representative of the Paris Olympics came out and apologized to anyone who was offended.
Clearly, there was never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. On the contrary, I think that Thomas Joly really tried to really intend to celebrate community tolerance.
It only took 5 minutes out of a 4-hour event for conservatives to deem the Olympics woke. That's gotta be like a record or something. Spoiler alert, they also freaked out about the closing ceremony. Only this time their anger was directed at a dude wearing a shiny gold suit. They swore this time he was Satan when really his costume was a reference to the Voyager Golden Records, which were phonograph records containing sounds and images from Earth on 2 Voyager spacecraft for the aliens to find or something. Basically, think of NASA as that one dude on the street handing his mixtape out to people. I just don't understand how one can enjoy life and art if they're always assuming that everything you don't like is the work of a demonic entity. You know what though? Not my monkeys, not my circus. Regardless, the hype for the Olympic Games was only beginning. What I think contributed to the excitement, especially for younger generations, was social media. Several Olympians were posting behind-the-scenes footage of their time in Paris on Instagram and TikTok. However, what piqued most viewers' curiosity was the housing situation. You'd be hard-pressed to find a hotel that could accommodate thousands of athletes, coaches, and staff members. So, each host city builds apartments solely for the Olympians and their teams called the Olympic Village. And when they say village, they're not kidding. It has gyms, salons, dining halls, transportation, and recreation centers. This has been a tradition for 100 years actually. The very first Olympic Village was built in Paris in 1924, funnily enough, and once the Olympics are over, the village is sold or rented out to the local population. Though I think most people associate the village with the infamous cardboard beds that went viral during the Tokyo Olympics in 2021, and they made a comeback this year.
For those wondering about the cardboard beds in the village, I'm going to show you what they look like. This is cardboard. As you can see, it's like a box. Then you've got the mattress, and then these cardboard boxes here, like so, with the mattress on top and a mattress topper. And then we get our own little Paris 24. And as you can see, they're pretty sturdy.
One of the major complaints last time was that the mattresses were super uncomfortable. Who would have guessed? But this year, Olympians were able to customize the plushness of their mattresses.
And so what's absolutely unique about our Airweave mattress is that it's fully customizable for each athlete by having 3 unique blocks. So each of these blocks can be rotated specifically for the athlete.
Nice. Still looks stiff as shit. However, as you'd imagine, there are a lot of rules and regulations. Security is very tight, and from what I've read, trying to enter the Olympic Village is like going through TSA. However, one rule that was lifted this year was the no sex policy. An intimacy ban was established last time to comply with COVID-19 guidelines, but those days are over, baby, because 600,000 condoms were given out to all the competitors. I mean, I don't know how much those cardboard beds can withstand, but Olympians can again. Let the games begin, am I right? But someone who's made her name online for showing her day-to-day life as an Olympian is Ilona Maher. She is a 28-year-old women's rugby player from Vermont. Ilona made her Summer Games debut in Tokyo, which is when she initially gained traction on TikTok. I think the drawing factor to Ilona's content was her authenticity, especially given her once-in-a-lifetime position. Like, yeah, Ilona gave us an inside look at the Olympics, but she also talked about topics anyone can relate to, like dating and body image.
Like, you could just go talk to each other, but instead you're on TikTok being like,
okay, I hear you, but remember, there's Rona, so we do try to stay away from each other. And second, it is not that easy to go up to a pack of 6-7 Romanian volleyball players and shoot my shot. I mean, I'll work on it, but I don't know if that's in the cards for me. Hey everyone, just your monthly reminder, this is the body of a professional athlete. This is the body of an Olympian. It's not perfect, it's not completely lean, it's not completely toned, but this body is amazing and it does amazing things for me. And there isn't one body type for female athletes or for women. So today I want you all to look in the mirror, appreciate what you got, realize what it does for you, and remember you're beautiful. All right, see ya.
Overall, Ilona's always used her platform to promote body positivity and bring more attention to women's sports. I've been following her for a while. She's cool as hell. But unfortunately, Ilona's faced a lot of body shaming over the years. You know, as a tall, broad-shouldered, muscular woman, she doesn't perfectly conform to female beauty standards, so her femininity is often scrutinized. We'll revisit the latter in a sec, though. You almost expect this behavior from men, but it's extra disappointing when it comes from another woman. Like this person. And the way Ilona responded with class, empathy, and firmness speaks highly of her character.
Hi, thank you for this comment. I think you were trying to roast me, but this is actually a fact. I do have a BMI of 30. Well, 29.3 to be more exact. I've been considered overweight my whole life. In middle school, elementary school, high school, I was always considered overweight. I remember vividly one time in high school, I did turn in the physical to the office, and right at the bottom of the page, it said overweight. And I was so embarrassed to turn that in and to have that written there. So my whole life I've been this way.
Ilona went on to recount a conversation she had with her dietitian about BMI and how it's not an accurate way to gauge someone's health.
I chatted with my dietitian because I go off of, facts and not just what pops up here, like you do. And we talked about BMI, and we talked about how it really isn't helpful for athletes. BMI doesn't tell you much. It just tells you what your height and weight and what that equals.
Ilona is 100% correct. The BMI chart is pretty useless. BMI, or body mass index, is calculated by dividing your weight in kilograms by your height in meters squared. The chart is broken into 4 categories: underweight, healthy, overweight, and obese. However, BMI does not paint the whole picture of someone's health. In fact, it was never meant for health in the first place. BMI was made by some dude in the 1800s to determine how to allot resources to a population based on body size, and his sample group only consisted of wealthy white males. And despite modern research concluding that BMI is bullshit, people still reference it as an accurate tool without taking into account that thin does not equal healthy, or that factors outside of weight contribute to one's health, like your genetics and environment. In general, I think any conversation regarding weight and health requires a lot more nuance than people are willing to give. Now back to Ilona. She said she's 5'10" and 200 pounds with about 170 pounds of lean muscle mass. I don't know how that's calculated, but what a flex. No pun intended, but you would never know based on BMI alone.
And that BMI doesn't really tell you what I can do. It doesn't tell you what I do in the field, how fit I am. It's just a couple numbers put together. It doesn't tell you how much muscle I have or anything like that. So, yeah, I do have a BMI of 30. I am considered overweight. But alas, I'm going to the Olympics and you're not.
Oh my gosh, I still get chills at that ending. Woo! What I would love to do is take all the hate Ilona's received over the past few years and give it to this next guy. And for all this talk about protecting the kids, you'd think there would be more outcry from the right about how a pedophile was allowed to compete. Meet Steven van der Velde, a 30-year-old men's beach volleyball player from the Netherlands. And let me tell you, this guy is so good at volleyball that he's managed to serve on and off the court. By serving prison time, that is, because in 2016, he was indicted for raping a child. So I don't get too far ahead of myself, let me explain how Steven found himself on the UK's sex offender registry. Back in 2014, 19-year-old Steven van der Velde received a friend request from a young lady who claimed to be 16 years old, and he was smitten. They spoke over Snapchat, Skype, and Facebook for a few months until Steven uncovered the truth. His digital romantic pen pal was, in fact, 12 years old. Most people would peace out after learning that information, but not Steven. Oh, no. Since Steven's a fucking creep, the two kept in contact. And before we continue, I just want to note that even if the girl was 16, I would still find this relationship unsettling and predatory to some extent. A 3-year age gap is nothing in your 20s and beyond, but 3 years is a significant amount of time as a teen. You go through a significant period of growth as a teenager, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Yes, the age of consent in both the UK and the Netherlands is 16 years old, so in the eyes of the law, Steven would be doing nothing wrong. But a 16 and 19-year-old are in 2 different stages of life. One partner is prepping for their junior prom, while the other's prepping for their junior year of college. But it never was a 3-year age difference. Now we're looking at a 7-year age difference, 19 and 12. It's giving Cody Co, but I would almost say the former is worse because we're talking about a college-age man and a middle schooler. That's wild. Anyway, on August 2nd, 2014, Steven flew from Amsterdam to an airport north of London and hailed a taxi to this girl's hometown. He fed her alcohol and her 3 times without protection over a span of 2 days. And before he left, Steven advised her to take a morning after pill. The victim went to a family planning clinic, and her visit raised major concern among the staff due to her age. So they contacted her parents and the police to report what happened. On January 8th, 2016, Steven pled guilty to 3 counts of child in the UK and was sentenced to 4 years in prison, which is not long enough in my opinion, but I'll take what we can get. At least the dude got charged with something. However, he only had to serve 1 year before being flown back to the Netherlands and released a month later. Are you kidding me? From what I've read, there's no explicit charge for child rape in the Netherlands. So if Steven was indicted there, he would have been tried for a lesser offense of ontucht, which translates to sexual acts that violate social ethical norms. Steven qualified for the 2016 Summer Games, but because of his outstanding warrant for a child, he couldn't go. Apparently, being a sex offender means nothing because Steven's maintained a successful volleyball career since and just finished representing the Netherlands in Paris. But my faith in humanity was restored just a little when I learned that thousands across the world were also outraged and demanding that the International Olympics Committee remove Steven from the games. In the days leading up, a Change.org petition was making the rounds and garnered over 135,000 signatures. There are also numerous videos of Steven getting booed by the crowds at his games. Music to my ears. In a post-Olympics interview, Steven broke down in tears as he talked about how he was being bullied by the media.
Nee, het vraagstuk heb ik me niet afgevraagd. Wat ik zeg, ik identificeer me niet met de tiener van 10 jaar geleden, inmiddels 11. Dus ja, ik ben een ander persoon. Ik ben volwassen. Ik ben niet meer, vind ik, dezelfde persoon. En alles is anders. Dus ik vind het heel moeilijk om dan daaraan vast te grijpen. Als je het hebt over rehabilitatie. Van ja, als je erover nadenkt, wat wil je dat iemand doet? Iemand wegkwijnt in een hoekje voor de rest van zijn leven. Wat brengt dat de maatschappij? Wat zou zo iemand nog meer toebrengen op een later stadium?
Aww. Anyway, the icing on this whole cake is that after all the backlash, Steven was caught taking pictures with underage fans upon his return to Holland. There he is, officer! Hey, crazy thought. Maybe the guy who doesn't have a great track record around young girls shouldn't be around young girls. And would you be surprised to learn that nothing was done? Steven wasn't allowed to stay in the Olympic Village out of fear for his safety. Crazy. When asked about the situation, a spokesman for the IOC stated while they're not comfortable and happy, ultimately each country's Olympics committee is responsible for choosing their athletes. Several people on Steven's team, including his volleyball partner Matthew Immers, have come out in support. I know the Steven of today, and I'm happy about that. I feel comfortable with him. We take good care of each other. I'm 23, he's 29. He's kind of a second father to me who supports me. The Dutch Olympic Committee responded with, "We are deeply aware that the renewed publicity about Steven van de Velde is causing a lot of emotion, which we fully understand as the events at that time were very serious. A lot has happened since then. Steven served his sentence, barely, and has completed an extensive rehabilitation program with specialized professionals, including the probation service. Experts have concluded there is no risk of recidivism. He is proving to be an exemplary professional and human being, and there has been no reason to doubt him since his return." Don't get me wrong, I'm all for rehabilitation, and I sincerely hope Steven has reflected and grown since, but he hardly completed a quarter of his sentence. While his victim has to deal with the trauma for the rest of her life, Steven gets to call himself an Olympian for the rest of his. Never again do I want to hear how accusations ruin a man's life. You could literally go to prison for child and still compete in the Olympics. Gosh, we're how long into this video and we've barely talked about any sporting events? Awesome. So you might remember from the beginning when I said that athletes were forced to swim in literal shit, and sadly, I was not exaggerating. The Seine River, the longest and the most well-known river in France, runs through Paris. It's a beautiful body of water and it's widely used for maritime shipping and tourism. However, it's also really fucking dirty. Swimming in the Seine River has been outlawed since 1923 due to the toxic amounts of sewage and pollution in the water. Although the French government has put $1.5 billion towards a cleanup project since 2015, its safety remained uncertain. So when it was announced that 5 events would be held in the Seine River, lots of concerns were brought up. But the Olympics Committee and government assured the public that the river is safe. Parisian Mayor Anne Hidalgo claimed to have swam in the Seine days before. Come opening day though, tests proved that actually The river's not safe to swim in. Training sessions on the 28th and 29th were canceled, and the men's triathlon was postponed to the 31st. But on the day of the mixed relay triathlons, numerous triathletes had to pull out because they fell ill with GI infections. So maybe don't force Olympians to swim in pee-pee poo-poo water. Now, besides the Seine River, you know what or who else is full of shit? J.K. Rowling, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and what do these three have in common aside from being the worst blunt rotation in existence? All three are under investigation for cyber harassment after slandering Algerian boxer Amani Khalif on Twitter. Out of all the controversies I've discussed thus far, this next one was easily the most widespread. In case you're unaware though, 25-year-old Amani Khalif represented Algeria in the welterweight class for the women's boxing event. On August 1st, she went up against Italian boxer Angela Carini. The latter ended the match after 46 seconds due to the sheer force of Amani's punches. And afterwards, Angela refused to shake her opponent's hand and in a post-fight interview claimed that she had never been hit so hard in her life. My face and nose were hurting. I couldn't breathe anymore. I thought about my family. I looked at my brother in the stands and I went to my corner to retire. I've never been hit with such a powerful punch. This ignited what's been called a biological firestorm because people went back and saw that Amani failed a gender eligibility test in March 2023 for the World Boxing Championships. The International Boxing Association revealed that Amani has XY chromosomes and high testosterone levels. Depending on the sports committee, T levels are what determine a woman's eligibility to compete. And it's been speculated that Amani is intersex and has a condition called Swyer syndrome. People with Swyer syndrome have female external genitalia and some female internal reproductive structures. These individuals have a uterus and fallopian tubes, but their gonads are not functional. Instead, the gonads are small and underdeveloped and contain little gonadal tissue. Swyer syndrome is one of many conditions under the differences of sex development umbrella. Again, none of this is confirmed. According to Imani, though, she was raised as a girl and identifies as a woman. And she's not the only women's boxer who's experienced this either. Taiwan's Lin Yuting also failed the IBA's gender eligibility test for that same reason. But what some conservatives took away from this new knowledge is that Amani is actually a biological male trying to undermine women's sports. This is the purest form of evil unfolding right before your eyes. Why? Did you look in the mirror again, Logan? A man was allowed to beat up a woman on a global stage, crushing her life's dream while fighting for her deceased father. This delusion must end. You know, instead of worrying about who's fighting at the Olympics, maybe Logan should focus on fighting those lawsuits. How about that? Men don't belong in women's sports. Hashtag I stand with Angela Carini. Let's get it trending. Absolutely. Donald Trump also promised to keep men out of women's sports if he becomes president. I mean, there isn't a man in this situation, but go off, I guess. Could any picture sum up our new men's rights movement better? The smirk of a male who knows he's protected by a misogynist sporting establishment enjoying the distress of a woman he's just punched in the head, and whose life's ambitions he just shattered. Shut up, Joanne. What these conservative pundits won't tell you is that Imani has also lost to other women in the past. Jokes aside, why are people acting like Angela is the first person to ever lose? And the part about her dead dad also seems irrelevant to me. I'm sorry for her loss, of course, but I'm sure she's one of thousands of athletes playing in honor of a relative, deceased or not. Imani's not this unbeatable monster trying to ruin female athletes' hopes and dreams. She's playing to win like literally every other athlete. So stop blaming Angela's skill issue on the trans community. And these weren't even the worst tweets I saw. They're only 4 of the thousands of disgusting comments directed at Imani. Just a bunch of depraved, transphobic garbage, and she's not even trans, so you're all loud and wrong. But the IOC defended their decision to allow Imani to compete, saying that she met all their parameters. In a different interview, Angela said she regrets how she handled her loss against Imani. It wasn't something I intended to do. Actually, I want to apologize to her and everyone else. I was angry because my Olympics had gone up in smoke. I don't have anything against Khalif. Actually, if I were to meet her again, I would embrace her. And since this controversy blew up, Imani went on to win the gold medal in the women's welterweight division. When Imani's coaches carried her on their shoulders after her final match, Thousands of fans in the arena were chanting her name. On August 13th, Annamarie filed a complaint with the Paris prosecutor's office on the basis of cyber harassment due to gender, public insult because of gender, public incitement to discrimination, and public insult because of origin. J.K. Rowling and Elon Musk were named in the case, and Imanie's attorney Nabil Boudi confirmed that Trump will be part of the investigation as well. What we're asking is that the prosecution investigates not only these people, but whoever it feels necessary. If the case goes to court, they will stand trial. And if Annamarie wins the criminal case, Elon and JK could face 5 years of prison time and fines up to 214,000 euros. Realistically, we know they're not going to jail, and 200,000 euros is a drop in the bucket for both of them, but if Annamarie can get a quick bag from this debacle, so be it. In fact, that is the least she deserves. What people like Joanne and Elon Schmuck don't realize is that while they're primarily victimizing trans women, their rhetoric really harms all women, including the cis women they're trying to protect. Let's go back to Ilana Meyer, for example. Because she's not this stick-skinny Barbie and she has masculine features, Ilona's called a man all the time in her comments, and she's talked about how this affects her.
I'm gonna be very real here for a second. As you can probably tell, I've been crying a little bit. I always get these comments, but like recently it kind of ramped up. I get comments being called a man and being called masculine and asking if I'm on steroids. There will always be negative people out there, and they put women in a box, and they think of women should be fragile and petite and quiet and meek, but that's not the case. Women can be strong, and they can have broad shoulders, and they can take up space, and they can be big. I think I'm getting emotional because I feel very passionate about this. Don't let anybody try to define or dictate how you feel about yourself. You get to decide that.
On top of that, this issue disproportionately harms women of color, especially black women, because they don't fit into Eurocentric beauty standards. Because of anti-blackness, slavery, and misogyny, black women have been stereotyped as being louder, more masculine, more aggressive throughout history, and unfortunately, those stigmas are still present today. Serena Williams, Caster Semenya, and Brittany Griner are prime examples of black athletes whose femininity is constantly questioned. This happens to famous black women outside the sports industry too, such as Michelle Obama. People have called her Michael Obama since her husband's presidency. Damn, who knew we'd be getting this deep in a video about the Olympics of all things? Not me. On a lighter note, did anyone else watch that cringy as shit breakdancing performance? You know the one. And if you don't, you're about to find out. This was the first year breakdancing, or breaking, was a featured event at the Summer Games. 16 B-boys and 16 B-girls were broken into two groups, and each dancer went head-to-head in solo battles. The judges picked a winner based on vocabulary, technique, originality, execution, and musicality. The reason why breaking was added is because each host country is allowed to add up to 5 non-traditional sports alongside the 28 core sports, and that was one of them, along with skateboarding, sport climbing, and surfing. Breaking became one of the most talked about events, but for all the wrong reasons, thanks to a dance battle that took place on Friday, August 9th. 3 lucky B-girls had the privilege to go up against Australia's Rachel Gunn, otherwise known as Ray Gunn. There aren't enough words in the English language to describe Ray Gunn's performance, so here's a quick montage of my favorite moments. Girl's got some serious squirrels in her pants. When I tell you it was nearly impossible to find Ray Gunn's full performance, I'm not kidding. I think her team or the Olympics themselves worked overtime to scrub this video from the internet, and I think you could see why. Listen, I'm not a dancer. I took dance for like 2 years as a kid before I quit at 5 years old, so I've been on an indefinite hiatus. I will go back eventually though. But just as you don't need to be Gordon Ramsay to know if something's tasty, you don't need to be Maddie Ziegler to acknowledge that this wasn't great. Camp? Maybe. But not great. To put it gently, I can't see the Jabberwockies knocking on Ray Gunn's door anytime soon. Regardless, I think she should keep breakdancing, as in, take a break from dancing. Hey yo! Mic drop. Jesus. Sorry, that was mean. Sadly, our girl received 0 points for all 3 performances, and she did not advance to the next round. For all she lost at the Olympics, she gained in internet notoriety, from the endless memes to Rachel Dratch's parody on The Tonight Show. Users online wanted to know who Rachel Gunn was and why she was chosen. To answer their question, Rachel Gunn is a 36-year-old lecturer at Macquarie University in Sydney, Australia, who in 2012 earned her doctorate in cultural studies. Apparently, her research has been focused on the cultural politics of breaking. This was also the same year that Rachel started breakdancing. She'd also done ballroom, jazz, hip-hop, tap, and salsa in the past, but she began to take breaking seriously in 2018. And Rachel's won numerous women's breaking competitions in Australia. She was voted top B-girl of the Australian Breaking Association in 2020 and 2021, and she also represented Australia at the World Dance Sport Federal Breaking Championships from 2021 to 2023. That was a mouthful. Rachel was picked for the Olympics after winning the Oceania qualifier in September 2023. However, a clip of one of Rachel's opponents, B-girl Holy Molly, went semi-viral on Reddit, and people wondered how Rachel beat her, even though Holy Molly was marginally better than her. Viewers also came to learn that Rachel's coach is her husband and fellow breakdancer Mr. Ray Gunn, aka Samuel Free, and his performances circulated days later too. Couples who do the windmill together truly do stay together. Man, Noah Samson really fell off. Respectfully though, Rachel was set up to fail from the very beginning. After this, there was a rumor that Rachel's husband was one of the judges in the Oceania qualifying event, and that has since been debunked. Others were alleging that Rachel founded the Australian Breaking Association, the organization who ran the qualifying event she happened to win. This was also proven false. These rumors were spread through a different Change.org petition for the Olympics to disqualify Rachel. However, the Australian Olympic Committee had it taken down for misinformation. A spokesman from the AOC commented, "It is disgraceful that these falsehoods concocted by an anonymous person can be published in this way. It amounts to bullying and harassment and is defamatory. We are demanding that it be removed from the site immediately. The petition has stirred up public hatred without any factual basis. It's appalling. No athlete who has represented their country at the Olympic Games should be treated this way except Steven van der Velde, and we are supporting Dr. Gunn and Anna Mears at this time. It's important that the community understands the facts and that people do not form opinions based on malicious untruths and misinformation." Most notably, though, a lot of viewers blamed Rachel for stealing the spotlight from other competitors, like the breakers who actually won. Then, when people found out that breakdancing would not be coming back for the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, many chalked that up to Rachel's questionable performance. However, the Olympics Committee came to this decision way before that. Meanwhile, others accused her of cultural appropriation. In case you didn't know, breakdancing originated from Black and Hispanic neighborhoods in the Bronx during the 70s. And here comes Rachel, a white woman seemingly mocking the art of breakdancing in front of millions. Even if it wasn't intentional on her part, I can see how it was interpreted that way. And not to sound like a pick-me, but as a fellow white woman, her performance did look like a caricature of what white people think breakdancing is. Everyone has the right to critique Rachel's dancing. I've had no problem poking fun at her for the past few minutes, but once your comments get personal, that's when it becomes an issue. There is absolutely no reason to bully Rachel in her DMs and comments, and that's all she's dealt with since that infamous day. She addressed all the nastiness in an Instagram reel on August 15th.
Hi everyone, Ray Gunn here. I just want to start by thanking all the people who have supported me. I really appreciate the positivity, and I'm glad I was able to bring some joy into your lives. That's what I hoped. I didn't realize that that would also open the door to so much hate, which is frankly been pretty devastating.
Rachel then clarified that while her goal was to have fun, she also took her performance very seriously.
Well, I went out there and I had fun. I did take it very seriously. I worked my butt off. preparing for the Olympics, and I gave my all.
And following that, she responded to the allegations that the qualifiers were rigged in her favor.
In regards to the allegations and misinformation floating around, I'd like to ask everyone to please refer to the recent statement made by the AOC, as well as the posts on the Ozbreaking Instagram page, as well as the WDSF Breaking for Gold page.
A lot of the comments under Rachel's post read something along the lines of, "Stop playing the victim! Stop it!" But she never said she was the victim. You could argue that she is the victim in this case because of the online harassment. So, and you know what? For all the I've given her, at the end of the day, she's at the Olympics and I'm not. Now, the last major Olympic controversy I'll be covering involves the U.S. gymnastics team. However, a minor scandal that emerged a couple weeks before was the feud between Simone Biles and retired Olympic gymnast Michaela Skinner. Side note, I can't believe we're how long into an Olympic video and I'm just now mentioning Simone Biles, the actual GOAT, quite possibly the best athlete of our generation, someone who changed the sport of gymnastics forever. That's Simone Biles? Anyway, the drama originated from a now deleted YouTube video where Michaela not so subtly shaded the US women's gymnastics team, excluding Simone.
Besides Simone, I feel like the talent and the depth just isn't like what it used to be. I just noticed, like, I mean, obviously a lot of girls don't work as hard. The girls just don't have the work ethic, like, and it's hard too because it's a safe sport. Like, coaches can't get on athletes and they have to be really careful what they say, which in some ways is really good, but at the same time, to get to where you need to be in gymnastics, you do have to be, I feel like, a little aggressive and a little intense.
When Michaela said coaches can't get on athletes anymore, it's because the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, which was established after the Larry Nassar trial, takes sexual, physical, and emotional abuse very seriously, so coaches have to back off. You know, maybe it's because I'm not an athlete, but I fail to see the problem with that. Like, you're upset that coaches can't get away with traumatizing their players anymore? But a lot of users took issue with Michaela's video and felt like she was invalidating the women's gymnastics team's hard work, because objectively, it takes a lot of work and skill to make the Olympic team. Then on July 3rd, Simone posted, "Not everyone needs a mic and a platform." Ruh-roh. 3 days later, Michaela uploaded this statement. "Dear Team USA and our gymnastics community, I want to formally apologize to Team USA and to our gymnastic community for my comments during my recent YouTube episodes of the gymnastics Olympic trials. It was not my intention to offend or disrespect any of the athletes or to take away from their hard work. Your hard work and dedication has paid off, and I congratulate each and every one of you." Upon reflection, I was comparing the Marta era to the current era. I'm coming to terms that I have not fully dealt with the emotional and verbal abuse I endured under Marta that perhaps led to my hurtful comments. I take full responsibility for what I said, and I deeply apologize. It is most important to me that the sport I love continue down the path of healing and ensures a positive environment for all. I wish you all the very best in Paris. I will be cheering you all on. Go Team USA. Love, Michaela. When the U.S. women's gymnastics team won the gold on July 30th, Simone posted group photos with this caption: "Lack of talent, lazy Olympic champions," clearly shading Michaela back. A week later, Michaela posted an apology on Instagram. She began by stating that it's okay to disagree with her, but the harassing and threats need to stop.
Watching people cheer on the bullying, which has led to threats of physical harm to me, my husband, and our daughter, is disgusting. So please, at this point, I am just asking for it to just stop for the sake of my family, because enough is enough.
Like with Rachel Gunn earlier, it's one thing to criticize someone's actions, but it's another thing to attack the person. While I disliked and disagreed with Michaela, threatening physical harm is never okay. Then Michaela acknowledged that her thoughts were poorly worded and she never intended to offend Team USA. After posting her written apology, Michaela reached out to each gymnast individually to make amends, and the only one who responded was Simone.
And I sent individual messages to each of the women on the team. Only Simone had responded, and she told me that she was proud of me.
Michaela concluded by requesting Simone to get her fans to stop sending death threats to her and her family.
So to Simone, I am asking you directly and publicly to please put a stop to this. Please ask your followers to stop. You have been an incredible champion for mental health awareness, and a lot of people need your help now. We've been hurt and attacked in ways that I am certain you never intended.
Even if it wasn't her intention, Michaela's original statement came off as shady, but even so, the death threats and reaching out to family members are both unwarranted. Period. But that is where the story ends. Neither Simone nor Michaela have spoken about it further. Perhaps they resolved it behind the scenes. However, as of right now, there are no further updates. Nevertheless, Simone and Michaela's online feud was soon eclipsed by buzz surrounding a scoring discrepancy in the women's floor exercise final on August 5th. One of two gymnasts representing the U.S. was Jordan Chiles. The 23-year-old gymnast initially scored 13.666 on her floor routine, putting her in 5th place. Beating her by .034 points were Romania's Anna Barbosu and Sabrina Maneka-Voinea, making them tied for 3rd and 4th place. Although Sabrina would have actually gotten 3rd place with a score of 13.8 if the judges hadn't unfairly docked her for stepping out of bounds when she didn't. Total mess. However, countries are allowed to challenge their athletes' final scores within 1 minute of publication, which Team USA's gymnastics coach Cecil Landy did on behalf of Jordan. The judges accepted and adjusted Jordan's score by 0.1 points, totaling to 13.766. This revision landed Jordan in the top 3, with Simone Biles in 2nd place and Brazilian gymnast Rebecca Andrade taking home the gold. This photo of Simone and Jordan bowing to Rebecca after the medal ceremony is easily one of the most wholesome moments from the Paris Olympics. The trio also made history as the first all-black top 3 in gymnastics. Or so we thought. Soon after, the Romanian Gymnastics Federation pushed back on this decision with the Court of Arbitration for Sport. They alleged that Cecil Landy submitted her inquiry 4 seconds after the 1 minute deadline, so Jordan's original score should be reinstated, and all 3 gymnasts should get bronze medals. A panel hearing was held on August 10th, and Romania won. The CAS stripped Jordan of 3rd place and asked her to hand the bronze medal over to Anna Barbosu. And to this day, Jordan refuses to give up her medal, so a new one was made for Anna. During her acceptance speech in Bucharest, Anna acknowledged the scoring debacle with Sabrina and Jordan. Thank you to everyone who added a bit of bronze to this medal. Right now, I can't help but think about Sabrina and Jordan as well. It's a tough situation for us with so many uncertainties and overwhelming emotions. I hope everyone understands that we didn't do anything wrong at the Olympic Games, and that the Olympic spirit is more important than any misunderstanding between the authorities. I want to believe that the day will come when all 3 of us will receive a bronze medal. Sadly, Anna has also hinted at a fallout between her and Sabrina since this ruling. It's just an unfortunate situation all around, and none of the gymnasts are to blame. They're just there to compete and represent their respective countries. You know, maybe the judges should have done their jobs correctly. Like, did they huff too much liquid chalk before this event? Or Team USA appealed this decision hours later with time-stamped evidence proving that Cecil Landy submitted her first inquiry 47 seconds after publication and a second inquiry 55 seconds afterwards. However, Team USA didn't have access to this footage until after the hearing, and alas, their appeal was denied. And they can't reopen the case unless both parties consent, but that won't stop Team USA. Apparently, they'll be appealing the CAS's decision with the Swiss Federal Tribunal. Some have also pointed out that one of the hearing's panelists, Dr. Hamid Garavi, may have been biased towards Team Romania because he has represented them in the past. But as long as neither party complains, which they haven't, Dr. Garavi can keep his position. As for Jordan, she released a statement on Instagram a few days after the hearing. While grateful for all the love she received, Jordan also noted that she's gotten just as many racially driven attacks. In the final paragraph, she said, "I am now confronted with one of the most challenging moments of my career. Believe me when I say I have had many. I will approach this challenge as I have others and will make every effort to ensure that justice is done. I believe that at the end of this journey, the people in control will do the right thing." I can't imagine how devastating it must be to have one of the greatest achievements of your career wrongfully stripped away from you because the people in charge couldn't do their job. My heart breaks for Jordan, win, and I hope she has a good support system in place throughout this challenging time. But new evidence has recently come out against the International Gymnastics Federation. Allegedly, they can't even identify who documented Team USA's verbal inquiry. To quote Inside Gymnastics magazine, the FIG was not able to identify who even took the verbal inquiry, something that surprised the panel. If you can't identify the person, how can you confirm it was after a minute? Isn't it possible it could have taken that unidentified person at least 4 seconds from getting the notification to actually enter it into the Omega system? The FIG says Omega system indicates 1 minute and 4 seconds. If that's the case, how are there no measures that stop the review from taking place, being confirmed, and new scores issued? USAG says it has evidence the inquiry was submitted at 47 seconds. You had one job, damn it! It seems there's still hope though, as the story continues to unravel. Hopefully, Team USA, Team Romania, and the International Gymnastics Federation can reach a compromise. But yeah, that's it. I'm glad the Summer Games only happen every 4 years because this was so much to unpack. So y'all better be on your best behavior at the Winter Olympics in 2026. But this was a bit of a different subject than I normally cover, so if you enjoyed it, let me know. Again, sorry for the weird setup. I know I lost my lighting like halfway through the video, but please bear with me during this adjustment period. If you'd like me to talk about any related topics like the Olympics, please let me know. And in general, if there's anything in particular you'd like me to cover, I have a Google form linked in the description where you could submit your video ideas. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a tiny thumbs up and subscribe down below. Again, make sure to check out my first merch drop at hellosinners.com. That'll be the first link in the description. And yeah, I hope you have a good week. I'm excited to bring new videos your way. I love you guys, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!